All right, happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to your HMG Weekly Wrap Up. It's good to be here, and you guys have probably noticed I'm doing a little bit different today than the norm. I got the purple on, the purple tie. Some of you have asked, "What's the occasion?" It's a great question. Well, this month, the month of uh, April is the month of the military child. So purple up. That's what the purple means. The DoD. This has been going on for several years, but we want to recognize this month as the military child. A lot of the times we forget. We stay so focused on the military member and sometimes the spouse that we forget that the kids are in this too. And there's some incredible organizations out there that support military children, but and we think that the military kids are heroes as well. So to all you military kids out there, it's your month. Show your support by wearing purple because April is the month of the military child. Great organization that we've been working with for probably the latter part of a decade. Well, not quite, maybe 8 years or so. Is an organization called Military Child Education Coalition. They have a podcast on the network here called the MSEC Podcast. Make sure you go check them out, and we'll be talking about them here in a little bit once we get into the shows. TikTok land, thank you guys for joining. Let me know you guys are out there. Appreciate it. Hello to all you. Instagram, I see Bubby, I see you out there. Appreciate it. Thanks, bud, for the support. Little bird checking out the show. So, again, April, month of military child. Here's a fun fact. There are over 1.6 million military children here in the U.S. military families. Over 1.6 million military children. I think that is amazing. I think it's amazing, and a lot of these military kids, amazing kids, and the stuff that they have to go through, that the kids go through, is really something else. A lot of every couple of years, you got PCS to a new base, you got to make new friends and whatnot. So, my hats off to the military children that are out there watching this, and to all you parents out there, thank you for raising such strong children in the future. So let's go ahead and get started. So all you military children out there, we salute you here. Thank you, because military children, believe it or not, you guys are community heroes as well. So thank you for all that you do. What do we got here? A couple comments coming in here. TikTok land, thank you. Appreciate you guys. Gabriel, what's up, brother? What's happening? Appreciate you jumping on. And if you're jumping on, I know what you're doing. So thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. I picked out some interesting news articles this week. First one is the LA mayor asked wealthy residents to help buy housing for the homeless. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass pleaded with the most fortunate to help fund housing for the homeless as part of a new strategy to tackle the crisis during her State of the City address this past week. Interesting. She says, I quote, we will not hide people, but what we will do is house people, end quote. The crisis in our streets is nothing less than a disaster. I found this to be pretty interesting. The city of LA, one of the largest cities in the United States, The mayor comes out, and this, mind you, this is a city that has been welcoming migrants and so forth, has asked the people, the wealthy people, to help fund housing. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I'm all for helping people. I am. I'm all for helping people within reason. But I find this to be a little disturbing at the same time. And I'm gonna get shut down on this. I know I am. We've been shadow banned and whatnot. So let me back up and say, if you guys are watching this, share this, send this out, tell your friends. We're on here every Friday. TikTok land, I appreciate you guys staying on. Thank you for everything that you do, and I'll get to messages and stuff afterwards. I found this to be interesting, though. What are your guys' thoughts on the mayor of LA asking people or asking the wealthy to fund the houses for the homeless? What are your guys' thoughts? While you guys are thinking about that, let's go on to the next one. Next up, we have activists in Chicago cheer after learning Iran launched an attack on Israel. That was earlier this week. I don't know if anybody's paying attention to what's going on over there. Kind of, mixed feelings on all of this stuff. But again, remember, let me say this: remember the stuff that I talk about to you in these news topics that I bring to you each week. These are just things that I've picked out random, things that I found interesting myself. Make sure you guys do the research yourself. Look this stuff up. I've looked at it several different news outlets from both political sides and whatnot. So yeah, let me see here. Someone is going to prom. That, oh, you guys are funny. Let's eat the rich people. Oh, okay, all right, whatever. Lynn, thank you on TikTok. Appreciate the comments. Activists in Chicago. So here we have activists in Chicago cheered after the learning that Iran had launched hundreds of drones and missiles at Israel on this last Saturday. This was from one of the news articles. A lot of them are. Some of them are covering it just a little bit differently. Alan, hello, what's going on, brother? A group of self-described anti-war activists, including March on DNC 2024, that's the name of it, and Anti-War Chicago, were gathered in Chicago this past weekend when a man announced news of the attack on Israel. Ken, what's up, brother? Good morning. The man has been quoted stating, we have to assume the United States is going to retaliate against Iran, he said. Our anti-war movement, all of the anti-war communities here and all of the Palestine support coalitions here must be ready to immediately be out in the streets to stop the U.S. from expanding its war on Iran. It is sad what's going on. And this is, I think I saw something on a press conference that Yemen was involved. There was some articles saying that Yemen was also involved in that as well. What's going to happen? I don't know what's been going on. Who's been tracking what's been going on with the Israel stuff? Now, whether it's Iran, Israel, it doesn't matter what side you sit on. It's I'm going to go as far as to say it's unnecessary, and that's going to be a very unpopular statement, but it is what it is. Brother, we need to mandate more. I'll get TikTok. I appreciate you guys. I'll get to some of these comments. They're hilarious. So what's going to happen? There's a lot of stuff stirring up in the Middle East right now. So Israel, yeah. Let me put it to you this way. Let me hear some of your comments. Iran, Israel, what's going on over there? What are your guys' thoughts on it? Either way, and be respectful, guys. We don't have to agree with each other. Let's just be respectful in the comments, mind you. Okay. That being said, staying over in the Middle East, apocalyptic floods drowned Dubai, which was the picture perfect city over the last several years, right? Tons of rainfall. I say tons. 10 inches of rain fell in one day. Now, the average rainfall, which is 10 inches, is actually in one day. That's 2 times more than what their yearly average of rainfall is over there. So it's crazy, right? Everything flooded. You see a lot of these different news articles, a lot of conspiracy theories like, oh, it was cloud seeding. It was, oh, what was I going to say? The global warming. And I'll get to both of those things in here in a second. But uh, more than 1,200 flights were canceled. The malls were flooded. Oman, which was nearby, there was, I think I saw a report about like 20 deaths. Several of them were children, got washed away in a car. Very sad situation. What's going on over there? So let's figure out what's going on over there with the flooding. Now, I've said everything's been shut down over there. 1,200 flights. I mentioned cloud seeding. Some of the people have come off and said, "Hey, cloud seeding, that's a conspiracy theory." Actually, do some research on it. Cloud seeding has been around since the late 1940s. They use it here in the United States, particularly out west. California has an active cloud seeding program. Nevada has one. Again, don't take my word for it. Look this stuff up. But cloud seeding is an actual thing, believe it or not. The Middle East uses it. In fact, several experts said that wasn't the cause of the floods in Dubai, although 2 days prior to getting 10 inches of rain, they cloud seeded over there. So some say it was cloud seeding from the previous 2 days prior to the storm hitting, but that has not been confirmed. That has not been confirmed. Other experts suggest that it was the cause of global warming. I don't know. It is, it's funny to me that a lot of people over the last several years is like, oh, cloud seeding, that's a hoax. It's this, it's that. Listen, it's been around for a long time, people. Let me get to some of these comments here real quick. Cloud warming, global warming is ridiculous. Yep, I agree with that. What do we got over here? So 10 inches is too much. Brian, thank you for jumping on. Lance, good morning to you. It's one of those things is if you don't know, people are just going to be ignorant. People will be ignorant and say, oh, that's not this, it's not that. What's the easiest way to hide something? Right out in the open, right? It's cloud seeding's been around for decades, but people don't want to say that it's one thing or the other. So anyway, I love some of the comments on here. Sometimes Corey on TikTok says sometimes it just rains a lot, not a God man-made reason. I agree with that 100%. I do. Sometimes it just rains, and maybe this was one of those situations. I'm not bought in on the cloud seeding that caused this. I'm not saying it one way or the other, because they don't know. And if you look this up and see all the different organizations that are covering the Dubai flooding, nobody has confirmed it. There's been 2 resources out there, and I don't want to quote which one because I can't remember exactly which organizations they were, but they said weather experts came in and said it's due to global warming. That was their quote. But look this stuff up. It was pretty interesting, and some of the pictures on that these people are that they're sharing online and whatnot. Like, wow, that's a lot of rain. And we've had flooding here in the U.S. I lived in Arizona for 25 years. I remember some of the floods down there. Now they have washes uh, that collect a lot of the water and whatnot, which is dry riverbeds for those of you that don't know. But pretty interesting nonetheless. So that I just thought that was another interesting thing that happened this week was the floods in Dubai because that's been like a big place that a lot of people want to move to. So let me check here. Somebody's Brian, yeah, it has happened. So I Brian asked the question: Has it check the weather? Has it ever happened before? That's the most rain they've gotten in 75 years. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, it has happened. It is 1940 something. It happened back in there. So very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. So Dubai, I'm going to see what interesting what happens next. All right, let's move on. Next story we have. Uh, we go over to the Mile High City over in Colorado, Denver. Denver is to cut funds from city agencies to control migrant influx. Denver Mayor Mike Johnson is planning to cut $45 million from the city agencies, including the police, to help fund a program to deal with a recent increase in migrants. Denver Police Department, this was out of Newsweek, it reported this. The Denver Police Department budget would be cut by approximately 1.9% under the plan, or $8.4 million, mostly from a hiring freeze for positions that are currently open. Johnson's spokesperson, Jordan Fuja, said that the adjustments to the Denver Police Department's budget was carefully crafted and safety leaders and with safety leaders and Mayor Johnson to ensure that there would be no impact on the department public safety. So interesting stuff that's happening there. I just thought that was interesting that doing cuts because a lot of the times you see these and you got to remember, like I'm repeating what the titles are, and a lot of it can be a little clickbait. That's why I say when I give these to you guys, go out and look this stuff up. Look it up. To say they also said in quote to say that Denver is defunding the police is a willful mischaracterization of the budget adjustment, which actually just delays the purchase of new furniture and shifts the funding source for one cadet class. End quote. That one caught my attention a little bit because earlier they said it was $8.4 million. How much furniture and how many cadets are in a class? That's what I want to know. I want to know how much furniture are they purchasing each year, and then how many cadets go into a class. Got to get donut holes instead of Corey. That's woo, shots fired. Anyway, that concludes the news for today. Again, go look this stuff up. And next week, when we do this next week, if you guys got articles or topics that you want me to bring up here, let me know. Joe Stojic over Facebook. My class had 60 for a reference point. Okay. That's a bigger Joe, is that a bigger class? We have somebody over here on Facebook that mentioned there's about 60 people in the class. That gentleman's over in New York. Denver, I think it's a little bit bigger city, so they might have over 100. And I'm not sure how I wasn't a police officer and I didn't go to the academy, but I think it's like 6 months long in most states or for most departments. So I'm not sure what that cost is. Again, that's why I bring it to you. I don't know. I found it to be interesting, so I thought I'd share it. What else we got? All right. We got some exciting news. Those of you that are new, and a lot of you over on the TikTok there, appreciate you guys. Heroes Media Group, we are a digital media and publishing company. We help podcasters, particularly ones that are heroes related. So what are heroes? Anybody can be a hero, really, theoretically, right? Our focus on heroes is military, veterans, firefighters, first responders, educators, clergy, and their allies. So anybody that if you support any one of those, then you are considered an ally. And more importantly, we want to bring more positivity to the world. Now, you probably think, well, you're kind of contradicting that, Adam, with some of the news topics and stuff. Those are just talking points, and a lot of it is for me to tell you this: critical thinking is a lost art. Think for yourself. So anything that I tell you, again, don't take my word for it. Go out and look this stuff up. That's the beauty of this. We can have conversations about it, and you certainly don't have to agree with anything that I say on here. I might give an opinion here and there from time to time, but go check this stuff out. That being said, Heroes Media Group, those of you that are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or X, or formerly known as Twitter, you'll see the scrolling thing on the bottom. Go to heroesmediagroup.com. You can check out all the podcast shows that we offer there. We have a directory of shows. We offer a slew of resources for podcasters, whether you've been doing it for a long time or you're just getting started. Me personally, I've been in the podcast space since about 2012. And I love it, and appreciate you guys jumping on this morning. So that being said, we're excited to announce we have a new show that is joining the network here soon. It's called seniorlivingguide.com. Go to seniorlivingguide.com podcast. Check them out. They're going to be joining us here in the next couple of weeks. So getting into the shows, first up in the queue, we have The Decision Hour with yours truly. That's the show that I host. I've had a fun time doing this. I've been doing that particular show since 2015. This week, we're talking mind mapping. And I have my friend, a good friend, John Diggs. He's a former collegiate football athlete. He played in the NFL and the CFL for several years until he had knee surgery. So had to get out. Had to give up football, unfortunately, due to injury. From there, he went back to LA and started a huge mortgage company until the mortgage meltdown and lost everything. And he shares his journey and his story of that. He actually had to move back in with his mom. He talks about how he moved back in with his mom. And then what he does is he unveils how mind mapping, a technique favored only really by the top of corporate elites, became his lifeline. And now he goes around and talks about mind mapping and what that is and how it can help you. And I think it's great. It's a lot of visualization, but putting it on paper and writing it out. And the way that he describes it was pretty cool. This was a pretty cool episode. Go check it out. It's called The Decision Hour. Next up, we got Every Man's Odyssey. This week, a conversation on family, faith, and friendship. This week's guest, Sam, sits down with Cole to discuss recent changes in Sam's life, including a career transition and joining his wife's business. Let me say this real quick. How many of you out there work with your spouse, and what's that like? Serious question. How many of you work with your spouse, and what is that like? Whether you have a business together or you work in the same corporate job, what's it like working with your spouse? I want to hear the answers to that. In the episode, they emphasize the importance of open communication and trust in making decisions. They also talk about the role of faith and having humility in leading their family together. They also highlights the value of providing for a family in different ways, and the need to prioritize the family's needs over one's personal needs or desires. This was a pretty cool episode. It's called Every Man's Odyssey. Check it out. What do we have here? TT Taylor 09, well-dressed gentleman. Thank you. I'm deployable Lisa. I'm sorry to hear that. My condolences. Next up, Shay Show, the Shay Sparks Show. That's coming up. New episode coming out next week. Stay tuned for that. Misfit Nation podcast. These guys are on fire. They do 3 live shows every week. It's called Misfit Nation. Most recent one is called Saving Lives with Nicholas Ryan. Hope I said that right. Missions of Hope and Healing. Nick is a Air Force veteran. He runs a 24/7 crisis line for veterans and provides recreational therapy for those in need, including race cars and jiu-jitsu programs. He goes above and beyond organizing all expense-paid mental health retreats in Colorado for 13 veterans each year. This was really cool. I loved listening to this episode. Nick, if you watch this, thank you for what you do for our vets. That's a great program. Check it out. It's called the Misfit Nation Podcast. Next up, we got Homefront Sit Rep Podcast, another veteran podcast. Love these guys. They do a live show every Sunday night and every Monday night, 7 p.m. So go check them out. Homefront Sit Rep Podcast. Also, with that, under that umbrella, they do once a month, they do a round table called Tip of the Spear. You can go check that out. Rich, I was just talking about you, man. Good morning, brother. Hope all is well. Rich, here's another thing I got to say about Rich from Misfit Nation podcast. The guy is a machine. He was on the show. If you watched the show last week, Rich was on the beginning of the show in his car. He was pulled over to the side. He was in a safe spot. For a last minute, he had a last minute mission he had to do and whatnot. Solid dude. Go check out his stuff. Misfit Nation podcast. Rich, thanks for jumping on, brother. Appreciate you. All right, next show, we got the Joel Evans Show. This week, Marwish Yeed, New York's top interior and fashion designer who works with the top of the top 1% in New York City and globally. They dive deep into her battle with cancer and how it actually was the best thing. She says getting cancer was the best thing that had happened to her. Cancer showed her how toxicity creates deficiencies, which led her to study quantum biology so she can help others not only make a beautifully designed home, but also a healthy one. Great episode, the Joel Evans Show. Go check it out. Next up, we got Beyond the Rut. Beyond the What with our man Jerry. This week, overcoming childhood trauma. Ed Squire's inspiring journey to healing. Ed, this week's special guest, candidly shares the challenge of concealing his pain while chasing success and recognition. Through introspection and resilience, he embarked on a transformative journey, breaking free from the shackles of his past and embracing a path towards breaking a path towards wholeness. This episode here, they sit down and he really dives deep into things that he went through as a child and not recognizing that until much later on in life. This was a cool episode too. Beyond the Rut, it's called. Go check it out. Again, you guys, you can check out all of the shows simply going to heroesmediagroup.com. All right, what do we got next? Next up, we got Label Free Podcast. This week, Dr. Darla Shaw. She's the CEO and co-founder of Talent Masters. Dr. Darla shares her incredible journey from being raised in a white nationalist cult to becoming a champion of diversity, equality, and inclusion, and belonging in the workplace. She discusses how her upbringing in the cult shaped her perspective and motivated her to create a business focused on human-first hiring practices. Amazing. This one here, when you start listening to it, it's an eye-opener. This episode is very much an eye-opener. Good episode this week. Check it out. It's called Label Free Podcast. David, Mr. Willis, I see you on there, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you jumping on. Label Free Podcast. All right, next up, we got Other Side of the Firewall. This show here, you learn a lot from in regards to like IT, computer stuff, AI, and a whole bunch of stuff that is far beyond my pay grade. I don't get it, but I'm really trying to learn more and more on it. This week, the evolving role of CISO, amazing GRC tools, and the proper use of AI in compliance. Ryan is the host of this show. He brings on Mr. McCadlery, and they discuss the evolving roles of CISO. And I'm sure there's a way to say this. I don't know how to say it because, like I said, I'm not a computer guy. I'm not an IT guy, but this stuff is great. It's the importance of governance, risk, and compliance. They also talk about compliance with AI. AI is getting to be a big thing. How do you incorporate that in a business setting, especially with large organizations and whatnot? So go check this out. It's called The Other Side of the Firewall. They do a show every day, Monday through Friday. The shows are anywhere from about 12 to 20 minutes long, very consumable. So go check them out, Other Side of the Firewall. David Gordon, if you're still on, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. David Gordon, gentleman I served with another lifetime ago. Great man. Appreciate you jumping on, brother. What do we got next? Pushing Back Chaos. This one here. Gratitude and integrity from failure to success. This week, Mike and Mellon, they're no strangers. They'll tell you they're no strangers to life's big challenges. Special forces training, operational deployments, finding love, parenting, special needs family members, moving a family around the world, and so many other challenges that they discuss, and the hardships and whatnot. Mike and Melanie, they both found their way through to bring their best selves when they have maintained a state of gratitude. It's all about gratitude. And these guys have been through a lot. If you haven't listened to this show, Pushing Back Chaos, this show here, the guys are on the two guys are in different parts of the world. Mike is wherever Mike is at any given time because of what he does. And Mellon is our brother from down under. He is down in Australia, part of the Australian or was part of the Australian military as a veteran there. And they pump this content out to you guys, and they do it's an interesting show that everybody seems to love. Go check it out, Pushing Back Chaos, and you can find it on Heroes Media Group. Go to heroesmediagroup.com. Let me see here. All right, next up we have Because Bikers Matter podcast this week. Bikes, belts, and beaches, the ultimate biker experience. I love this. This week they had two guests. Vegas, aka David, aka Vegas, had two guests on the show: Ryan Evans from Counts Customs and Jim Lynch from Bike Show Mafia. Ryan shares his fascinating background about growing up as an Army brat and being immersed in the world of cars and bikes from a young age. Talks about Ryan's passion for choppers was ignited at Counts Customs, where he fell in love with the long bikes and unique designs. Jim talks about, on the other hand, brought his experience in the bike shows and audio competitions to the conversation. They discussed upcoming events, including Daytona Bike Week and the Myrtle Beach Rally. Jim shared his excitement for the upcoming shows and unique features that they have planned. Cool episode. I don't know if you guys, those of you that ride, if you've never been to Daytona or Myrtle Beach shows, it's something else. And go check it out. I love this show, Because Bikers Matter podcast. Check it out. What do we got next? MSEC podcast. Brought this up at the beginning of the show. Military Child Education Coalition. That's the organization. Go to militarychild.org. It's a nonprofit organization for military families. If you are a active duty, guard, reserve, or a veteran, and you still have children in home that are of age, that are still going to school, they have a lot of resources for military families. It's such a great organization. And again, remember, I'm dressed in purple today because April is the month of the military child. And to us, military children are community heroes as well. So this week, they're excited to share the extraordinary lives of military children who have been recognized as the 2024 Military Child of the Year recipients from the Air Force, the Army, the National Guard, and the Space Force families. Hats off to these young kids. This is a great episode. I love it when they bring the kids on and the kids kind of explain their side of how they see military life, because again, I think it's oftentimes forgot that the kids are in it as well. So great episode this week. Check it out, the MSEC podcast. Next up, we got the Arms Room Show every Monday, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's Arizona time. New episode drops. This week, they're discussing why you shouldn't cheap out on technical medical gear and what it's okay to cheap out on. So certain gear you should not cheap out on. Now, if you have watched this show or have listened to the show, the Arms Room Show, they're going to tell you I can tell you right now, do not cheap out on cheap tourniquets. And carry two of them. Remember, 2 is 1, 1 is none, right? We've learned that in the military. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Do not cheap out on cheap tourniquets. Bad. But they do share some of the gear that it's okay to not blow a lot of money on. So check that out. Another great episode this week, the Arms Room Show. Also, if you want to do any type of medical training or firearms training, contact independencetraining.com or go to independencetrainingaz.com or just go to the Arms Room Show. You can reach them up there, send them a message. Their April and I believe their May calendars are up. They travel all over the country to do these trainings. So hit them up, get them out, do some training. Arms Room Show, check it out. David, what do we have here? Kids serve as well. Yeah, they do. They really do. Often forgot about, I think, by larger military side of things. But fortunately, Military Child Education Coalition and other organizations like that are focused on the military families. So it's great. It's great that we have these types of programs out there for the military families. And here's the thing. If you're active, whether it's active duty, guard, reserve, and you get deployed or whatnot, these organizations are out there to help your families. That should put your mind at ease a little bit. Anyway, moving on. Got a couple more shows. Stay with me, folks. Chasing Happiness is the next one. The art of minimalistic living. Kevin Roth. Kevin shares his remarkable stories from really shedding material possessions and embracing a whole food lifestyle and just living a full life of self-care, spiritual exploration, and the importance of gratitude, mindfulness, and the profound impact of shifting your mindset. It's amazing once you clear out a lot of the trash up here, changing your mindset and what that'll do for you. Check it out. That's what they talk about. Chasing Happiness. Next up, we got one of our hero shows, Rise Up, Voices from the Front Lines. This week's special guest is Kyle Elliott. He's a paramedic for a spontaneous and uncensored. They talk about an uncensored look into the traumatic experience, intense schedules, and some of the dark humor that goes on in the emergency medical world. And when you're in that field, You kind of have to have that to get through. And if you don't, I mean, if you've met my wife, you don't, you'd understand. All right. Anyway, next up. That's right. Rise Up, Voices from the Front Line. Last, certainly not least, we got some of our favorite people from the People's Patriot Project. I'm talking about their series called We Got Your 6 at 6. Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And they do shows throughout the week. They also have a radio program called We P3 Radio, where they highlight musicians that were veterans or first responders. Last week, they had Jason Pike on the show, did 31 years in the military. He's got a book called A Soldier Against All Odds. I discussed this last week very briefly. And then our good friend, HMG family member, a dear friend of ours, Mr. Stephen Cochran, was on the show. So check that out. That was last Sunday's, this past week's show. They're going to be on live again this coming Sunday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, People's Patriot Project. Shout out to the sponsors real quick. Alibi Tattoo, Forget Genetics, veteran owned. Appreciate you. Motorcycle Safety Lawyers. You know what I'm going to say? If you ride bikes, those guys should be on your speed dial. Home Studios. Check it out. If you are a podcaster or you want to get into podcasting and you want to help out, give us a holler. I'll get you in touch with our buddy down at Home Studio. Check them out. The Freedom People, those of you that want to get out of the matrix, get a trust done right. Go to thefreedompeople.org. Check them out. Sisu Stamina. I don't have the stuff in here. Shoot, I was not ready for that. Sisu Stamina, go check it out. It's through the Universal Learning Approach. Love their stuff. Jim Neary's Bait and Tackle. They got some fishing stuff coming up for military and first responders. They do bass tournaments every month. Go check them out. Jim Neary's Bait and Tackle. If you're out east, it's definitely something you want to check out. Warriors on the Water LTD, also run by Jim and Gina. Great people. They take veterans out on the water and first responders out on the water to go fishing. Go check them out. JB Auto Clothiers. Some of you on the talk have made comments about my jacket today. Veteran-owned company. Go to jbautoclothiers.com and check them out. They are a bespoke, made-to-measure jackets, suits. They do shirts now, tuxedos for men and women. Go check it out. It's great. I love this. I love it. And last, certainly not least, or excuse me, not last but not least, my tax fella. It's literally just finishing up tax season. If you need help with your taxes, get it done right. Seriously, go call my man Anthony. He will help you out. mytaxfella.com. And then our sister company, HMG Beverage. We got new coffee. I've been saying about it, been teasing about it. I just got an email that the new labels are shipped for our 2 new decafs called Be Mellow and Be Still. So stay tuned for that. And if you come back on and you watch this next week, those of you on the talk, those of you on the other platforms, if you watch this next week, we're going to be doing a giveaway. If you for new subscribers, so if you subscribe to HMG Coffee as a monthly subscription, I'm going to throw in something for free when you sign up. But you got to tune in next week to find out what it is. Kenneth, that falls. I'm sure Kimberly would love that. Maybe we name that for the next one. Who knows? But listen, thank you all for jumping on this morning. Share this because we're getting shadow banned left and right. If there's something that you guys want to talk, all the platforms, those of you guys that are watching, if there's something that you want me to cover next week, DM us, let me know so I can get it on here. So I appreciate all of you jumping on this week. Remember, get outside this weekend and get outside, get grounded, think for yourselves. Don't take life too seriously because you only get one. Have some fun this weekend, but be safe out there. God bless you. God bless America. I appreciate you all. We'll see you guys next week.